Kirk Levin will spend the rest of his life behind bars for murder and kidnapping. A judge handed down that sentence on Friday. Levin stabbed and strangled his mother, Marilyn Schmidt, in her early Iowa home. He later drove to Storm Lake and took Jessica Vega. Now, for the very first time, Jessica is speaking out. I sat down with her as she relived the events that unfolded that January day and how she was able to survive. Life has never been easy for Jessica Vega.
Ever since I was in my mother's womb, I have been neglected.
Born in Honduras, the 21-year-old says she was passed between family members, even kidnapped by her own father, and sexually abused.
Throughout my life, I have been raped by friends, uncles.
One of those rapes even produced a child when she was 15.
That's the reason why I went into the foster care system.
But throughout her life, Jessica says she's counted on God to get through.
I remember asking God why he let that happen to me. And there was a lot of pain.
And it was divine intervention, she believes, that helped her escape Kirk Levin. The pair met online and exchanged letters while Levin was in prison.
The only reason that I kept writing to him was because I felt bad. In his letters, he would say how all his friends had basically abandoned him, and I knew how that felt.
They met for the first time in 2010 and a handful of times after.
He's just kind of awkward, funny kind of guy.
On a cold January morning last year, Levin showed up at Jessica's Storm Lake, Iowa apartment asking for a ride. But something didn't seem right.
Especially when he switched his story, because first I heard spark plugs and then in that he ran out of gas. And then I was just like, oh, maybe I just heard it wrong.
Jessica relived the kidnapping on the witness stand in June. She left her daughter Victoria with her sister and drove him home. First, she says Levin pretended like he didn't know the way.
I didn't want to waste any time looking for his house, so I suggested to call his mom.
But little did she know, his mom was dead upstairs in this early Iowa farmhouse. When they got there, he persuaded her to go into the barn.
And he's like, take a seat, and I just sat down. And then he said, I'm kidnapping you. He's like, just don't fight, don't struggle.
But Jessica is a fighter. All those survival skills she learned over the years kicked in.
When I was in that situation, I actually felt something touch me every time I was supposed to do something.
First, she complied with Levin so that she could convince him to go back and get her daughter in Storm Lake. He tied her up, and when he tried to put her in the back of her car, she told him she wanted to be in the trunk. Why? Because her toolbox was there.
Before he put me in there, that was the last thing he took.
I thought I worked so hard in trying to graduate BV and my family. I was like, I'm never going to see my daughter again.
After minutes in the trunk, she told Levin she was suffocating and asked him to let her out. Now she was sitting in the front seat, closer to the toolbox, closer to freedom.
And all I really had to do was grab the hammer, which just happened to be sticking out. And all I had to do was just grab the hammer and whack him.
Before she could, Levin slid off the snow-covered road and into a ditch. Farmer Gary Schramm came to the rescue.
And I said, Kirk, untie me so they think we're just this couple.
And that's when she ran.
Jessica came to the window.
I've been kidnapped, help me.
The nightmare was over. At first, Jessica would replay what happened in her mind every day, but eventually,
I just decided to move on and stop thinking about it.
Last Friday, Jessica met face-to-face again with Levin, bravely addressing her kidnapper before his sentencing.
Even though I have a reason to hate you, I don't.
Pausing to get his attention,
Kirk, could you please look at me?
I wanted him to know that I was sincere about every word.
Jessica says she forgives Levin.
I think that forgiveness changes everything. I felt free.
Not only that,
I still think that Kirk is a person that has potential.
Brave, kind, and independent, those are the same characteristics she wants to instill in Victoria, who's about to turn 6. Jessica says she's living with purpose, not looking back, but moving forward.
I refuse to be called a victim. I am a survivor. I'm here because of God.
Jessica graduated from Buena Vista University in Storm Lake in May with degrees in psychology and Spanish. She is now doing social work.